stealth, speed, and surprise.
How many of you know what Asperger's syndrome is? Some of you may have an idea of what it is. Some of you don't, or you may just may be familiar with the symptoms that come with it. And you might also be wondering why I'm doing commentary about it. Well, the fact that I'm doing a commentary on the topic should speak for itself. And I started this game off with a nice little mini quad, playing some Black Ops 1, magic knives here, get knife-only dogs in this gameplay, so really beast gameplay. I love using the dogs in Black Ops 1. It's a lot of fun, just racking up kills. So much fun to use. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the gameplay in the background. So, Asperger's syndrome is basically a disorder that you're born with, and it involves your brain, and so you basically, as a person, you're able to take in information a lot faster, and you take things more literally, so to speak. So sarcasm at a young age for someone with Asperger's, or I'll just say AS, just for short form. It's a very difficult thing to understand for someone with AS, because if you say a joke or you use sarcasm, the person with AS is gonna take it literally and probably get pretty offended by it. Just depending on the person's tolerance level. But with that said, people living with AS do tend to have it's harder for them to tolerate things, especially at least when they're young. When they get older, they learn how to overcome that offensiveness most of the time. The main symptoms that come with living with AS is lack of social skills or social knowledge. Most people, as they grow older, as they start to interact with people, it's just a natural thing for them. But when it comes to someone living with AS, it's a difficult thing to really know how to make friends properly, how to start a conversation, what not to say, what to say, so forth. And because of the lack of social understanding for people living with AS, a lot of times there is a lot of awkward moments, so to speak, for people living with AS. So when you're a kid living with AS, it's pretty difficult to be able to interact with new people and so forth. And a lot of times it can affect you emotionally. You go into stages of depression as you get older. The more you realize or you encounter these kinds of awkward situations. So that's one of the emotional effects that AS can have on you. Now, not only that though, but a person living with AS tends to be pretty rigid with how he or she lives. And basically what that means is that normally, in terms of daily routines, they're not very flexible when they're starting off. If any time plans have to be changed, or they have to switch to a new activity last minute or do something else, it's very hard, or it's they're much slower at switching to new activities or changing to a new plan or whatnot. You know, they're very slow to change pretty much. Now, in some cases, it can be a good thing, because especially if someone living with AS is really dedicated to a sport or an art form, they can really, living with that, having that symptom, living with AS, you know, being very persistent in what they're doing, that can kind of help them in a way to not give up whenever they're practicing something. Especially so if you're like an athlete, you really, if you're an athlete and you're living with AS, it really forces you to just keep on trying and focusing really well to get better at what you're doing. And same thing if you're living with AS and you're into art, so, or any art form, so to speak. Now, Asperger's in general is just a very mild form of autism. That's another thing I should point out. It's not as severe as autism, like it's not as noticeable. You can only really notice it through encountering this person and talking with him or her, just depending on what that person is saying or whatnot. But you know, there's no cure for Asperger's. It's just something you live with the rest of your life. But if you really work your hardest to overcome the negative aspects of Asperger's syndrome, and you work hard using the positive aspects of Asperger's syndrome, then really AS shouldn't define you as a person. Thanks for listening to this commentary, guys. I went 33 and 6. Hope to see you guys in my future videos, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.